Now let's stay on the conversation of Ukraine and all of this aid and our cash that we're sending over there, because it seems as the days go by and by, the Biden regime is doing everything and anything to help them out. Why do you think that is? Maybe to distract American citizens from all the crises going on here on the homeland. In fact, a Politico headline reads, Biden's been consumed by Ukraine. Now keep in mind as I read this headline, Politico is a left-leaning rag, not conservative. His team wants to bring the focus back home. Really? So the team wants to, but Biden's consumed. That's, of course, what their report says. I think it's the other way around. This man's so confused, he doesn't have a clue of what's going on, and the regime and the military-industrial complex wants to keep us focused on Ukraine, so they tell the old man to do so. Anyway, this is today marks day 70 of Russia's invasion into Ukraine. And the Biden regime urging Congress, as we said, to pass $33 billion with a B in more aid to Ukraine. I don't even know what the total is anymore, seriously. Florida Congressman Matt Gaetz has been very critical of the Biden regime's game plan in Ukraine. He joins us now to discuss more about how much cash and where it's going, and of course the mounting crises here at home that this regime continues to ignore. Matt, welcome back to the program. So do you have a total? Because I seriously lost track. $33 billion is the new request. We did that original $883 million. Then there was that additional $3 billion. I don't even know, where are we at with our money, my money?
We're close to about $50 billion into this conflict. And while we certainly want Ukraine to win and Russia to lose, this has to mean more to Europe than it does to the United States of America. And I think we learned in Afghanistan that if you take an area and it is dealing with some issues of governance challenges and corruption, and you just set it awash with U.S. cash, that can actually be counterproductive in some circumstances. I think we really got to question some of the rebuilding aid that's in this Biden request while Ukraine is an active war zone. I mean, I think first, there has to be a focus on some of the tactical military objectives rather than just pouring billions and billions and billions of dollars onto this very corrupt European country. I also think that Biden is misplaced in thinking that we're going to be able to do this sort of as an American endeavor. What we've seen is that matters that involve our European allies that are done in concert are more successful. And when we really go out on a limb, it's considerably less successful.
It's interesting. So you just said that some of this cash is earmarked, if you will, for rebuilding. Why would we, this is, I think, on the heels of what you were getting at here, why would we be discussing rebuilding when the war's not even over? I mean, they're talking about Putin making an official declaration of war in the next week or so, which could ramp things up, which means there'd be more destruction. Why wouldn't we worry about just solely aid for the innocent civilians caught in the middle, and then obviously ammo or weapons to help fight Russia instead of rebuilding at this early stage? This sounds to me like a good place to maybe hide some money, Matt, because we know that's happened before.
We know that Ukraine is a money laundering mecca, and at times money makes its way to places where money laundering occurs. We don't want to see that happen. We have an obligation to our fellow Americans to care for them. And I think it's important here to analyze this $33 billion in context for what the Biden administration won't do here on our border. With just, a small percentage of that, we really could finish the Trump wall, and that would provide us a physical barrier against the invasion that we're currently facing in your state of California and our other border states. The reason the Biden team wants the president to start talking and thinking more about domestic issues is because even though Joe Biden is rating higher in his dealing of Ukraine than is dealing with the United States, his overall approval ratings are at historic lows for any president ever heading into a midterm. So they see a real ceiling on what could even be done as far as public perception of their engagement on the Ukraine matter. What they see is with inflation, gas prices, a border invasion, challenges all throughout our country, that the Biden administration has become an anchor around the neck of every Democrat running in the midterms.
Yeah, well, and then watching them just spend cash nilly-willy, like, what are we doing, printing it? Because how do we have this much cash when our debt is how many trillions? And we're just going to keep sending billions there. I want to pivot, Matt, from the war in Ukraine and the waste of our money, let's be real, because this administration is not addressing the crises at home, to another crisis, if you will, and it has to do with the midterms. Because it seems to me that the party, the grand old party, seems to be fractioning off a little bit. And right now, conservatives need solidarity. But we also don't need rhinos in the party either screwing things up come November. Obviously, the big talk before all this broke out with SCOTUS and the war, there was lots of talk of January 6th and how the party's been divided. Then you have those audio tapes come out from the former speaker, Kevin McCarthy, now minority leader, talking a little trash about folks from the America First movement, Freedom Caucus, and Trump supporters. So I think we have some of those. I want to run a little bit and just get your take now that we got you on the show to discuss this, because you, of course, brought up in some of these comments, and it's been back and forth now, again, between he said and she said. But then you have audio tapes to prove he said something. So let's roll those and get your take.
I just got something sent now about Newsmax, something Matt Gaetz said, where he's calling people's names out, saying an anti-Trump in this type of atmosphere, and some of the other places. This is serious stuff people are doing that has to stop. I'll make individual calls.
I think Mo and Louis' comments too. A lot of members have said some real concerning things about.
Did they say something? Did they say something today too?
Not that Louis was at. Mo was at the rally. You know, we're kicking ass and taking names thing at the Trump rally.
Well, these are things before they kick that ass.
Okay, what did Gaetz say?
Gaetz brought up Liz specifically. I just saw that on Twitter.
And Adam, someone just sent it. Gonzalez just sent it to me, so I'm calling Gaetz. I'm explaining to him. I don't know what I'm going to say, but I'm going to have some other people call him too. But the nature of if I'm getting briefing, I'm going to get another one from the FBI tomorrow. This is serious shit to cut this out.
Matt, I know you've been sounding off about this, so I'll just let you have the floor.
I don't understand why it would be potentially illegal, or why it would even be deemed name-calling to designate Liz Cheney as anti-Trump. I mean, I was trying to protect President Trump from an improper impeachment. Kevin McCarthy and Steve Scalise were trying to protect Liz Cheney from accurate criticism. The position I took was that if Democrats were going to impeach Trump, they wouldn't be alone, that people like Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger would likely join them. That not only was accurate, it was entirely appropriate. And it's just sad to hear our purported leaders like sniveling and tattling to each other and listening to aides complain about mean tweets. I mean, this is the group of people that's supposed to fight against the Biden administration and lead an oversight effort and restore wins for the American people. It sort of sounded like loser talk to me. And I hope that they're able to, have a different perspective going forward. We're in a real battle for this country. We have to have tough people willing to push back against the Democrats and against the Republicans that would do our agenda harm. And when these folks are too busy with the hand wringing and the bedwetting, it doesn't exactly inspire confidence in the rest of us that they're capable of leading.
Exactly. And I apologize. Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy, I think I said speaker as well. I was thinking of Paul Ryan.
I think he's trying for that promotion as well. But I don't know that it's great preparation for the speakership to be talking bad about your members and to be doing so in a way that suggests that fair criticism is somehow potentially illegal or, serious stuff.
Yeah. And you know what? If the party's thinking that, because there should be a red wave, right? He's not the man for the job. Sorry. I used to like Kevin years ago. Not a fan. He's turning into another Paul Ryan. And we don't need that running the party in the House of Representatives. Period. Point blank. Matt Gaetz, representing Florida's First. Thank you, sir, for always being honest, straightforward, and keeping it real here on the program. And I'll see you tomorrow night in Florida.
Look forward to it. Florida will be all the better with your arrival.
Thanks, Matt. Take care. God bless.